Hi guys, welcome back to Irish Footy Vlogs. Welcome back to another Premier Division show. A bit of controversy this week. JP, welcome back as usual.
Cheers, Keith.
Not a bother. Just to let people know at home as well that the Care for Keane fundraiser is still open. So we left the link in the description as well. We raised over 6 grand. I think it's about 6 grand 200 at the moment. So I thought I'd wear the Shelbourne top as well. That was given to me by Keane's family. So I thought I'd wear that on the show. Dalyman Park, first game up, JP. Derry City obviously winning 2-1 at Dalyman Park. Their third win on the bounce, their first one defeat in 12 games. Second in the table, 10 points ahead of Shamrock Rovers, which is interesting as well. And massive, massive win and the way they won it as well. Obviously, Danny Grant had given Bohemians the lead in 15 minutes after Flores had missed a penalty. Grant read it well, though, and managed to score after Mart saved the penalty. Diallo equalised 2 minutes later in 17 minutes, and Danny Mullen with the winner 4 minutes into injury time. Now, I suppose the penalty, no arguments over the penalty?
No, can't have any arguments.
No.
Um, Thought Derry absolutely deserved it. The one, Keith, up to that point, I think Bohemians deserved to take the lead. Derry settled the better, but then Bows kind of came and did a wee bit, and they got their goal deservedly. For Derry, they hadn't conceded in 3 games previously, so they were disappointed that they've conceded a goal like that. A poor pass from Ben Doherty, and suppose you could say the Allo should be a wee bit more aware, but I suppose he's trusting that the reason he's receiving the pass is because there's nobody
Mm.
around him.
I suppose one thing you have to give Dale Rooney actually a bit of credit, don't we, to be fair, for actually reading and getting in front as well, I suppose, and nicking the penalty, if you like.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. It's what you're told as an attacker to do is gamble and see what happens. And I'm not sure. I think it was just before half time. Same kind of thing happened where Ben played a ball right across the 18-yard line, and only there
Mm.
was about a one. I think was it Jordan Flores. I'm not exactly sure. Would have had a tap in. Only the one kind of took the ball away from him and allowed Brian Maher to get out and make the block. But you have to give absolute credit to Derry because and Diallo especially because they just got back up at it and they went and got a quick equaliser.
Mm.
Bohemians will be disappointed that they didn't stop the cross,
Mm.
the short corner.
They'd be
But
disappointed, JP, because Haratzka's made an unbelievable save from Huben literally before that, and that's
yeah,
led to the
yeah,
corner basically that led to the
yeah.
goal. And
So
although Huben be a little bit disappointed he didn't lift it, it's still a
yeah,
brilliant save
I,
from
th
Haratzka, to be
I
fair,
think
isn't it?
I think he's so close to the goalkeeper, Keith. He can't lift
Yeah,
it. He just they go for power and hope what I think he's hoping to place it, but
it's
there's
an
a
unbelievable
defender
save.
there's a defender getting on the line and
Mm.
look, it's one of them. You have it one 10 times and you'll score 9, and that's a good save. But for
Mm.
Derry, they put the ball in the box, and Diallo with a good instinctive leg out, they put it past the goalkeeper. And from that moment forward, Derry were on top. They hit the woodwork 3 times.
Mm.
And Dummigan, he's going for a cross, and the ones carried it, then the keeper having to tip it on the bar. And I think Michael Duffy's hit the post. Somebody else has hit the post as well.
Yeah, Duffy's hit the post early on, yeah.
Yeah, and a keeper's made a couple of saves. The keeper scored one each going into half time. Derry came out, wasn't as um adventurous in the second half as they were, but they still deserved it. I think Bowes started to tire, whether that was a case of having not played in 2 weeks. Roy Higgins made a couple of attacking substitutions and it paid off. Dan Kelly's had a chance
Mm.
just before the winning goal.
Mm.
Good block by defender. And look, Derry, they just keep the ball alive. They put it in the box. McJanet wins the header, and Danny Mullen does what he does best. Stuck a ball in the back of net, one touch and bang, and he done
Sixth
something
goal of the
similar.
season, which is great as well,
Yeah,
because he's on the bench for most of it, like.
yeah, he done something similar against St. Pat's earlier in the season, and
Mm.
again Derry came from behind in that game. So there's I know this Derry team be questioned at times, and I think probably wrongly. But when you look at them kind of results. There's a lot of character in that team. There really is. They come from behind. And Danny Mullins, you look in they're 2 points behind Bohemians, or sorry, 2 points behind Shelbourne, and he's bagged 4 points with deep into stoppage time. As you say, he's got 6 goals this season. I think last year our top scoring striker scored 7. We've got Hoban on 11, McMullen on 7 or 6, sorry. So
Six,
that's
yeah.
17 goals between them two, and we're only just over the halfway stage. So, and McMullins is even, or sorry, Mullins is even more impressive because he doesn't play a lot of games, but when he comes off the bench, he does tend to be effective. And
It was a very sharp finish as well. And the ball in
I
was
think,
obviously by McJanet, who's obviously left the club now.
well, he hasn't left yet.
Well, leaving the club, yeah.
He's as far as I know, he's over at Grimsby
Mm.
this weekend and talks and etc. And
Mm.
we think he's probably going to be back at the Drogheda game in a couple of weeks' time. We don't know, but
Oh, okay.
unlikely that he will play.
Mm.
The
Yeah,
news
if there's
broke
going to be a deal done, he'll, as you say, it's unlikely that'll be jeopardised, let's say.
and
You
saying
know.
that the news broke at half time on Thursday that the deal was agreed and he was on the bench. I was surprised to see that he was getting thrown on, but absolutely
Mm.
delighted I did because the contribution that he made to the winning goal was brilliant. And you have to give credit to Mark Conley as well because I don't know if you see it in the highlights. Conley actually steps in front of Akintunde to stop him being able to challenge McJanet. So,
Mm.
uh, but a really good knockdown and a good finish. And I think even the Bulls fans will have to admit that Derry deserved all 3 points from this game.
I think the thing that's disappointing and annoying the Bows fans is the fact that Alan Reynolds was with the under 21s all week. And now I understand the frustrations. I don't know what you think about this, but what I will say is that this was the kind of deal when he was brought into the club. This was kind of known early doors, so all of a sudden it became a problem. But you know what I mean? They knew this. This was kind of announced that was going to happen, and I can understand the frustrations, of course they do, but you got to question the club on that as well because the club agreed to that. Now I think he's done now, isn't he? That's it now,
Yeah.
though. I think.
Well, I would like to think, Keith,
Think
because
so.
I would
Yeah.
like to think so because I don't think he can be a full-time manager.
No, no chance.
It's different being an assistant manager.
Mm,
That's totally different. But I
mm,
don't think you can be a full-time manager and be away every international break with an international team.
mm,
Not at the highest level in football in your country anyway. Um,
mm,
Reynolds, we know he loves working on the Dons. He's a really good coach. We know that.
mm.
Um, the FAI and Jim Crawford will be disappointed to lose him. We'll under, but I think for Bowes, he needs to be there. 100% of the time during the international breaks. Like he's left it in good hands on Stephen O'Donnell, but has that impacted the performance against Derry? Like they started off, as I say, they
Mm.
started off well. Derry started off well, but Bowes came into it well.
Yeah,
But
but apart from that, JP, you would think
did the game that go the way it did in Bowes? Was
Mm,
it because the manager wasn't there? If the manager's not going to be there during international breaks, I don't see how the players are going to give him the respect, if you know what I'm trying to say.
mm, mm. No, I agree. I agree, and I do understand Bowles fans' frustration because I do agree with it. The only issue I had was that it was known, and you know what I mean. Why didn't they mention it maybe earlier? And the club agreed to it as well. But I will say this as well: like you can't be away on international duty like that and be able to prepare Bohemians to play a match. And it's all right to say Stephen O'Donnell's there, but Alan Reynolds is the manager of the team. You have to be there. You have to be there preparing for the game. I mean, they're
Yeah,
playing Derry City. Rory Higgins was preparing all week for Derry
yeah,
City, but Reynolds
exactly.
isn't preparing or focused on the Bohemians match. So the whole thing is ridiculous. But I put the shared blame. It's not all on Alan Reynolds. Is my
Oh
point.
no,
The
it's
blame.
not.
It's on the
It,
club as well for agreeing to this scenario. But I believe that's it now. And if that's the case, then they probably will be able to move on. But you're right. You're getting paid by the club. It's you know what I mean. It's your full time job, and you're expected to win the game by not having your manager there to prepare the team when Derry City are fully preparing for the game. It's ridiculous when you think about it, actually, isn't it?
yeah, it could well have been the case that they said when Reynolds was going there, he could have said, "Well, if you really want me, you'll allow me to see out my contract." You know, and we all know that Bulls did really want them, and
Mm,
there probably wasn't nobody else on the table that the Bulls could get. They didn't have a short list and say, "Well, if you don't take it, he'll get it." So, and I think maybe Reynolds knew that, and
mm,
look, for if that's unfinished now, then then that's great for Bows.
Mm,
Um, because as I say, like you maybe accept it for one window,
mm,
but it was a huge match for Bohemians, so it was, and their manager wasn't there up until maybe the day before the game, and look, for Bows and their fans, it's disappointing, but he's
mm.
come out now today saying that there's going to be a cull of
Seen
players
that. Mm,
in the July window, and I
mm,
think we all knew that anyway when he took over, that he was preparing, he was just sort of seeing what he had, and he was going to do it anyway. Like he's got, I think there was two of the Polish players they're going back. I see
mm,
today Luke Matheson's going back to Bolton as well.
mm. That's a little
Um,
disappointing because he was the best of the kind of loanee type players they brought
yeah,
in, and what
yeah.
best players they brought in actually, full stop, if you know what I mean.
I was actually excited when he was brought in because
Mm,
he came in with a reputation probably
mm,
because of the goal he scored at Old Trafford as a 16-year-old in the League Cup. So I was disappointed that it didn't work out or didn't see enough of him
mm.
in a Bohemian shirt. But look, for the main thing now is for Bose is they get the recruitment right and they go again. And look, Derry will be absolutely delighted that they've got the win. Because it keeps them on the coattails of Shelbourne going into international break, 2 points behind. Yeah, they've a game more played, but there's still a long way to go. And look, Derry will just know that they have to just keep doing their own job and see what happens.
Yeah, at Oriel Park finished Dundalk 1, Sligo Rovers 0. Horgan with the winner there, believing it or not, his first goal of the season. It was actually a very good goal. A lovely ball played through by Ryan O'Kane. And the way to pass very good. All Horgan had to do was actually finish it first time. It was a very, very good goal. Um, we said in the prediction show that this was a massive, massive game, didn't we, to be fair? And, Dundalk now are 6 points behind Sligo. And, there's a good chance Sligo are going to be dragged into that relegation mire, in my opinion, still. And particularly with this result, it's a massive, massive win for Dundalk. And they keep that clean sheet record going at Oriel as well. 8 games now in a row since, as you mentioned last time out, the 5-0 defeat at home to Sligo. It's just an incredible record. Eight clean sheets in a row. If that was Shelbourne top of the league, you'd be saying that's a
Stat
good
like that,
record at Talca Park,
yeah,
So,
a stat like that, you understand if it was a team top of the league. When you see a stat like that, you're wondering how this team's even in the predicament that they're in. Like, you know
yeah.
what I mean?
It gives them something to really build on, I think, though. And maybe some of the sides like Sligo at the moment might be a little bit porous at the back, and even Bowes actually a little bit porous at the back, etc. And, the big thing from Dundalk as well, 3 points ahead of Drogheda, that's the first time they've kind of, believe it or not, got a gap like that this season. And it's a massive gap. But from where they were, it's a big change, you know what I mean? So, absolutely huge win. And they probably deserve to win the game. However, there was a goal that was disallowed. I'd be interested to get your thoughts on that. Warwood sticks the ball in the back of the net. I actually can't remember what the score was at this point. I can't remember what the score was at this point, actually, to be honest with you. But he does stick the ball in the back of the net. And for you, is that a free out?
No, really, really poor decision
Andy
from the
Boyle
ref.
just throws himself in the air, doesn't he?
Look, Andy Boyle just takes the chance. He knows he's lost a flight of ball, so he just takes a chance that the referee's going to give him a free kick, and he did. Um,
He seemed like he was in a good position, the referee, though.
he was, and that's what I can't understand. Like Boyle just, you can tell by the fall that it's not a natural push.
It's not
And I
actual.
don't,
It's actually laughable as well. There's no natural fall to it. That's the bizarre thing.
I just can't understand it, to be honest. Um,
Galway, Sligo definitely hard done by there. To be fair.
yeah, they are, but look, they're not going to be relegated or in the playoff based on this result. Like
Mm.
they would have seen this as a huge opportunity to put Dundalk and Drogheda the kind of bed, basically.
Even if they
But
nicked a point, like yeah.
yeah, but for Dundalk, they've dragged themselves right back in it. They're potentially dragging Bohemians in it as well. Alan Reynolds will be going into the window trying to get in recruitments, but he'll also have one eye over his shoulder as well at Dundalk, as will Sligo now. Um, but I think we all questioned the appointment of John Daly. Um, maybe didn't question it, but we were surprised at the timing of it, based because I think it was less than 2 weeks after
Mm.
he'd been sacked by St. Pat's. But I think
It was out of the
John
blue,
Daly,
wasn't it, as well? Yeah.
yeah, I think John Daly is probably exactly what Dundalk need at the minute. Somebody that's going to make them hard to beat, and
Yeah.
maybe nick a goal at the other end. And I think I saw them against Derry, and they were really unlucky not to win that game. They went to St. Pat's and totally outplayed them.
Yeah.
For
Strange
the
game,
first
but
half
yeah.
hour. Um, I'll probably count themselves unlucky not to come away from Poker Park with something, and they'll be absolutely delighted they get the 3 points in this game. And they'll be going in the break now on the up. Look, thinking, you know what,
I
we
think the
can
biggest
catch them,
mistake,
we can
actually,
catch
JP,
Derby.
I think the biggest mistake Steve O'Donnell made when he was there, he tried to make them expansive
Hmm.
when they didn't have the players to be expansive, and that high line was really starting to kill them, even more so because they got weaker this year in terms of the quality of players overall. But what John Daly does, and this is why it didn't work at Pats for me, because Pats were expecting to be, challenging up there, at least in the European kind of conversation. But what he does is he does get the teams to sit back. He does get them organised
Hmm.
defensively, etc. And they mightn't get many bodies forward a lot of the time, and the support might be slow. But as you said there, the predicament Dundalk are in, that type of football probably is what they need, because O'Donnell O'Donnell was kind of trying to play a type of football as if you're one of the better teams in the league,
Yeah, top
that
of
kind of way.
the yeah.
It was never going to work for me, and if they stuck with him, I think they would have been bottom, to be honest.
Yeah, his last game was at the Brandywell back in, I think, March or April,
Mm,
and the team resigned the relegation. The writing was on the wall for O'Donnell. Um, but the Stephen O'Donnell, it hadn't just been last year or this year. It's going back a couple of years, Keith.
mm.
They played Wexford in the FAI Cup,
Mm,
and Wexford, I don't think were a great team back in, but they were able to expose that high line.
mm,
And if they had a better goal scorer, or I think a better
mm.
defense actually, because I think Wexford scored a couple of goals that night.
It did,
If
yeah.
Wexford had a better defense, they'd have put them out of the cup. So
Mm,
it wasn't just last year or this year. It's
mm.
going back to the summer of what, 22.
It shows
Um,
to me that O'Donnell wants to play a same type of football, regardless of the quality of players he has or style of
yeah,
players he has,
yeah.
which is
I,
can be
I,
difficult.
it can be difficult, and
Yeah.
you need to adapt the uh the players that you have. If you haven't got the players to play a certain way, then you always have to play to the players' strengths, in my
Mm,
opinion,
mm.
not the manager's
I
strengths.
think we were saying it
I
at the
think
time when O'Donnell was there. We
that's
felt
what
like
John Daly will do.
yeah, we were saying at the time when O'Donnell was there. I think we were saying that we felt like they needed to sit in a little bit more and be hard to beat first. But he
Yeah,
just
yeah,
refused to do that. And it's not as if he can't do that. He just refused to do that, basically. But John
yeah.
Daly is exactly that type of manager. So for the Dundalk predicament and project, as I said earlier there, he completely suits it, I think. And, as for
Mm.
Sligo, they'll be disappointed. In fairness to John Russell, he wasn't moaning about the off or the goal that was disallowed or anything like that. They are down bodies. But interestingly, they didn't really play a striker in this game. There were on the bench who came on, and they'd young Owen Eldon who came on, but Ellis Chapman and seemed to be the player that was up front. He's a midfield player really, and Barlow was kind of playing off him. That was a bit strange though, wasn't it?
Yeah. Um,
Mm,
you're going to Dundalk, and you're a team that's below you, and you want to put a bit of a day. You're already 9 points in front of them. You want to
yeah.
put a wee bit of extra daylight between you. And looking at the lineup, it felt like they were going down. They not lose the game, and
Mm,
um, look, it was a great counter attack from Dundalk. They
mm.
won the game, and a good finish by Darrell Horgan.
The suspicions of a
Um,
foul and the build up, but it's hard to tell. But after that, Dundalk do well, to be fair, and
yeah, they
they do
do.
well.
Um, but looking at the chances that Dundalk had, I think there was one cleared off the line. McGinty had a save as well. I think there was McGinty made a couple of saves to keep him on it. Dundalk, I think, maybe hit the bar as
McGinty
well
has to
from
make a
from
couple
a
of saves
corner.
every game, seemingly. That's half
Yeah,
the issue, I think.
it's just showing you how good of a goalkeeper he actually is.
But they need him,
Um,
if you know what I mean. That's the
yeah,
point, big time.
where would they be without him? Like, and we've touched upon this on the show already.
Mhm.
A couple of weeks ago when we seen that Max Mata was heading back,
He's
they
probably the
said,
reason they're probably ahead of that little pack at the moment,
yeah,
actually.
yeah.
Yeah.
we understand that he is there at the end of the season, and
Mm.
boy, are they going to need him. Because right now I don't think they have the quality at the other end of the pitch. They they, they get them out of trouble if they don't. They get the defense out of trouble. I think
Mm.
McKenty is there, and Sligo will be disappointed that they haven't picked up anything in this game. But look, they'll just try and regroup again after break and see what they can get in July.
DC Park finished Galway United 3, Drogheda United 0. The second time this season Galway United have managed to score 3 goals, and they've done it twice against the Boyne-siders.
Hmm.
Walsh on 7.61. O'Keefe in the very last minute on 90. Walsh picking up his sixth of the season. He's now fourth in the all-time goal scorers for Galway, which is a nice thing to say for Stephen Walsh. And they seem to bombard Drogheda with crosses into the box in this game. Like the first goal, O'Sullivan does well, doesn't he? He gets a good cross in, Walsh's header. But Wogan, I think, will be very disappointed he didn't keep that out, to be fair. The
Poor
set.
goalkeeping.
What?
Poor goalkeeping.
Yeah, it was very disappointing. I mean, he could nearly caught that. I think, to be honest with you, honestly, very disappointing, and that gives them the lead, doesn't it? Early on, after 7 minutes, and Drogheda are up against, and their confidence is down. On 61, it's Walsh does well again. I think it's this time McCarthy gets crossed into the box. Gary Buckley gets a header, and Walsh nips it. That was a good save actually by Wogan, to be fair, but does come out to Walsh. And O'Keefe at the end, Drogheda just looked like they'd nearly given up at that point, didn't they? With that goal, you could see it, couldn't you? O'Keefe does very well, but massive win for Galway again. And suddenly now, like a point behind Waterford with a game in hand. And it's like a little battle between the promotion teams, isn't it? Waterford and Galway. It's brilliant to see. And but for
A battle
Drogheda,
between the promotion teams to see who can
yeah,
get into Europe or finish
yeah.
top.
Like the two of them are flying, to be fair. Both clubs are flying. And do you know what's funny? The goals, just quickly, Waterford have scored 30, Galway scored 17. Waterford conceded 25 and Galway conceded 13. It's mad, the difference, isn't it? And there's only a point in it. But Drogheda, big trouble, aren't they? Like they're after falling behind Dundalk now, who look like there's steady improvement. Drogheda look like they're regressing as the season goes on. It is only 3 wins in 21. Um, they're in dire straits at the moment, aren't they, JP, to be
Yeah.
honest?
When they played Drogheda on Bank Holiday Monday when they played Dundalk on Bank Holiday Monday
That's killed
at
them.
the start of May, they went into that game. If they'd lost it, they'd be bottom of the table.
Mm.
They'd won it, they opened themselves up a gap, and
Have they picked up 1 point since, JP?
they've picked up 2 points
2 points.
since
Okay.
Shelbourne away and
Funnily enough.
St.
Pats.
Pat's at home.
Yeah.
I think that's a span of 7 games because there's 5 defeats in there. When they lost that game against Galway at 2-1 up, going into stoppage time a few weeks ago, we wondered how it would affect them. And it seems to have affected them negatively.
The
Then
following
obviously
game after, you see, as
the
well, where they
next
were 2
game
up in
they were
Waterford.
2-0 up
Yeah.
and they lost 4-2. And it's just seemed to have spiraled from there. And I think the worrying thing for Drogheda fans is they're not just losing tight games, they're losing
They're losing well.
starting they're losing well. They're conceding three
Mm.
goals, 4 goals. Like you say, like they conceded three against Galway twice,
Mm.
4 against Waterford. Yeah,
They look
they
all over the place defensively, JP, as a unit defensively for
yeah.
whatever reason. I
And
think.
it
They're,
doesn't help. It doesn't help when your goalkeeper throws one on the net after 5 minutes.
mm,
Um, Look, I don't know. I was kept watching it to see if maybe there was a deflection or he lost his footing. I just think he's trying to make a save for the cameras and it goes horribly wrong. He's
mm.
unlucky in the second goal because he makes a really good
Does make a
save
good save, yeah.
and nobody his defense isn't following it up. The third goal, somebody should stop the run.
Mm.
The defender dribbles with it
I
right
think they've
through
just stopped playing at that point, have they? They've given up the
yeah,
ghost.
and just smashes it past the goalkeeper. And
Mm.
um, look, Drogheda will they, they, they need body. They need help. I don't know how they
Mm.
get it. Do they bring in more? But look, we have to remember that they're the only part-time team in the
Mm.
division. So the fact that a halfway stage they're still in with a shout speaks volumes of what
Well, the
Kevin
break
Doherty
has come at a
done.
great time for them.
Yeah, I think so. I think it speaks volumes for what Kevin Doherty has done
Mm.
up to this point. And look, stick with him, stick with the team,
Mm.
see what you can get out of it. and go
Yeah,
again.
unlike the Dundalk
Great.
situation when O'Donnell's there, I don't necessarily think, say, a change of manager is the point here because their squad, it's just they need to take a chance on the window with one or two players because, they, in a sense, if nothing to lose, being bottom of the league and look like they're regressing, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? I think they need to take a chance and hope that one or two
Mm.
of them work well. Their loans haven't worked out very well, which usually
No,
does at
compared to other
Drogheda.
years. Compared to
Yeah,
other years.
they haven't worked out well at all, and they don't have like they're all over the place defensively, as I said to you. And then they have the only bright spot for them is at times they've created opportunities and haven't taken them. So you kind of look at that and say, look, kind of fortunes changed there a little bit. But defensively, they have to do something there, like be it getting in a player or they look leaderless at the back or, and the confidence is just very low at the moment. But for Galway, the problem was I was speaking to someone from Galway and they thought they played okay, which is a worry for Drogheda as well. That Galway were winning the game 3-0, but it was an okay performance. That's not
Yeah.
good for them, but it's brilliant obviously for Galway.
I touched on in the build up show or the prediction show, sorry, that Derry defended the high balls in the box really, really well
Mm,
against Galway, and I questioned whether Drogheda would have the quality to deal with it, and I think was based on that second goal they didn't, because I think it came with a throw in which they cleared well, but the cross they didn't deal with it.
mm.
And I think that's one thing that Derry did really well against Galway, and I thought Galway would win the game. Thought it would be tighter because I didn't think Drogheda would be concede
Mm,
as much chances or space as they did.
mm.
And look, Stephen Walsh is at the double, and um, he supposedly a defender, like so.
He was a
And
defender, yeah, but John Caulfield changed. John Caulfield's a habit of doing that with players, by the way. He's done that
he's got
before. Yeah,
he's got 5 goals now this season,
yeah,
which is a winner and a lead goal, a winner to Brandywell and a lead goal at Tala. And
yeah.
um, look, for Galway, I think we can safely say that they'll be nowhere near the relegation spots this season. They're definitely battling it out with Waterford to see which one of them can finish the highest, and can one of them nick fourth spot.
It's fair to say my prediction of 10th is going to be completely wrong, that's for sure. In Inchicore, finished St. Patrick's League 2, Shamrock Rovers 1, Johnny Kenny with his ninth of the season on 32, Rory Keaton in 76, and Brandon Kavanagh in stoppage time to give Pats a 2-1 win. And I suppose before we get into the game, we'll get into the four penalty decisions or not given, which would be interesting to get your thoughts on that. I suppose penalty number one, if you like, penalty incident number one was Mulroney got down to the left, whipped in across. Melia seemed to nick the ball. It looked like Stacey took him out. What do you think of that one? What was your thoughts on that one?
I think that was it was maybe more that one was maybe more of a common together, to be honest, Keith.
Mm,
I think very rarely do you see. I think if it was he was running and he knocked the ball and the keeper, I think he's trying to lift it over the keeper and Stacey's momentum brings him in. I think it wasn't a tackle as such. I think you kind of have to maybe expect a collision of some sort in that situation. I think the referee's done well in that one. The
Number
the one
two, Faruja.
oh that's a penalty.
Mm,
That's a penalty.
mm,
He's just dragged him to the ground once he's cut
mm.
inside him. I think there was another one.
The other one was, so you think that's a penalty. The other one was Palmer, I think it was. Wasn't it? Levy does well on the right, plays it in. Palmer has a shot. Is that a handball for you?
Yeah, that's one I was thinking of. I think his the touch off the hand took the momentum off the ball, and I
Mm,
don't think he's deliberately trying to stop it. I think it's caught him on the hand, but
mm,
the position of his hand has stopped the ball going in the net and allowed the goalkeeper to make a save.
mm.
For me, I thought that was a penalty.
And the
Um,
other one, what was the other one?
Definitely another one.
The other one, the Rory Keaton one, ball into the box by, was it Mulroney? Cross from the left. And you can kind of see, I don't know what happens, but Keaton goes down basically under a challenge. What was
I
your
think
thoughts there?
I think that's very similar to the one in Dundalk, only
Yeah,
less dramatic of a fall.
yeah.
Yeah, I think
But
the
I
referee.
think that was, for me, that was the least
Mm.
likely of the penalties. The Melia one, I could kind of see if it was given. I can see why it wasn't given. The Frugia one, I personally think is a definite penalty, and the Parma one, Haven't seen it properly. At the start, I didn't think it was because I didn't see it hit his hand initially. I thought it came
Mm.
back, and no, when it comes back and hits his hand, I was thinking
As soon
that's
as I
not a
saw,
penalty. That's not a
soon as I
penalty.
saw the replay, as soon as I saw the
Yeah.
replay, I thought it was a penalty.
Yeah,
But it,
but interesting, and obviously Keaton was offside for one as well. But I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt, to be honest, the linesman there because there's no angle to see it. But Keaton did manage to score the equaliser, I suppose. After that, which Stacey will be disappointed with. Melia does well, but Keaton finishes it very well, I have to say, with his right foot, doesn't he? Get Brandon Kavanagh's winner as well. Pat's, to be fair, this was Pat's best performance of the season, JP, honestly, by a mile. So it was. Rovers, first half, I thought Pat started well. First 20 minutes, Pats with a better side, created chances. The difference was with Pats, I think, Kenny had a week to work with the players for a start. They looked fitter. They looked like the more energy. They obviously finished stronger. They got two late-ish goals against a Rover side. They got players into the box. They had Mulroney on the left, Levy on the right. So kind of a natural old, with your left-footed winger and your right-footed winger type thing rather than the other way around, which you often see now, don't you? So Forrester was unbelievable in this game as well. He ran the midfield, to be honest. And Pat's, yeah, it was a late winner from Brandon Kavanagh. Lovely header, great cross from Cyborg, who was absolutely brilliant at right back. But Pat's basically more or less dominated the second half. You don't say that against Shamrock Rovers too often. Even if they're struggling this season, you don't really see teams dominating them for a second half. Not very often. So therefore they deserve to win. Rovers did have a bit of a chance in the second half when Kenny done well, but his shot wasn't the best. He was probably one of their better players overall. Like, he's been excellent for them. But for talk about Rovers first, actually, JP, because this is the first time personally now I'm kind of doubting them, to be honest,
mm,
because they're 10 points off Derry. Okay, they've got games in hand, I know, etc., etc. 12 points off Shelbourne. They still have a lot to do for me. And this idea, if they go on a run, that we keep saying, but the thing is, they have to go on a run. This is the
mm,
point. They're going to have to go on a run. They're going to have to do it soon. I think after the break is going to be key for Shamrock Rovers. Like, immediately after the break, the first couple of games might tell us if they're going to go on a run or not. You know, that kind of way. But they are in a difficult position now for that fifth title in a row, aren't they? It has to be said.
yeah, you just can't see them winning it, I don't think, from here, even with their games in hand. Like as you say, immediately after break, they have to start.
Mm.
They have to reset now and say, right, this is a new season, basically. But they've two games and then they break for a month for Europe, and
So they
they have
can't actually get momentum,
they
even if they
can't
win the two
really get
games.
momentum
Yeah.
because they're going to play a different quality standard then in the Champions League. But I think the most important thing for them is that because they lost all four games in Europe last year, as far as I remember. So they'll not want to do that again this year. They'll maybe want to obviously they'll want to get through the
Mm.
first round, but that all depends on the draw that they get, which they're seeded, which will help. But
Yeah.
at the same time, they want, even with Europe, they want to try and build a bit of momentum. For going into the FA Cup against Bulls, for getting back into the league action come August.
Mm.
Um, and like it's probably the first time that I've maybe doubted Shamrock Rovers like you, Keith. I felt that this was possibly coming from last year. We felt if Derry or Pats had a grabbed the league by the scruff of the neck last year, that they would have
Mm.
uh toppled Shamrock Rovers because we remember it took them
Yeah.
7 games to get on the board, and I think was it 4 games this year before they got a win. So
The difference is last year when they got on the board, they did go on a bit of a run, didn't they?
yeah,
They haven't
yeah,
really done that this
they
season.
haven't, and you
No.
could possibly put that down to injuries, but I think every
Mm.
team
And
has
it's
had
a part.
injuries.
It is a part of it that
Yeah.
hasn't helped them,
Um.
but they're a good bit off the pace at the moment. That's
Yeah.
the point. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think you obviously can't rule them out. Derry, we know, have won 3 in a row. They're unbeaten in five
I
since they
feel like
lost.
I'm not fully ruling them out, but I'm really starting to doubt them. That's my point.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think at this stage now you have to look at the bigger
Mm.
picture and think, well, you know what? I think Stephen Bradley, I think he half admitted defeat the other night in his interview without admitting defeat.
Mm. Mm.
He'll obviously be in the dressing room trying to keep them on their toes, see what he can get out of them, maybe make a transfer or two in the window
Yeah.
and see what he can do. But whenever Alan Manis announced his retirement,
Mm.
I just felt Shamrock Rovers needed to go and get a quality goalkeeper.
I was
They,
surprised they didn't go for
they,
McGinty, if I'm
they
honest with you.
tried to give Leon Poles
Mm.
a go, who done well when Manis was out injured last year.
Mm.
But to be a number one, to go from being a number two for years to being a number one at the same
Mm.
club is really difficult, and very rarely do you see it work.
He might be feeling
Least,
the pressure a bit too.
yeah, Lee Stacey went in the other night, didn't
First
exactly come
game.
himself in glory. Um, Now you can say in that you can blame Lee Grace as well for putting the ball back then, but Stacey should never give him the ball in the first place.
Mm.
When you do get the ball like that, you just put it up the field. I know Rovers want to play it from the back, but you're 1-0 up.
Mm.
Just get rid of the ball.
Also, as
Um,
well, at that point, to be honest, JP, Rovers were under serious pressure, to be honest, as well. Sometimes, as you say, just getting it up the field. You know what I
yeah,
mean? At that point of the game, they were like, if you felt like Pats were going to score anyway, if you know what I mean, it just, when you feel it coming, they were under pressure for a lot of that second half. And, sometimes, as you say, get the ball up the field. You've got good players up there like a Graham Burke and a Kenny. Maybe
yeah.
they can do something.
Look, credit the Johnny Kenny, like he took the goal really, really well. A
Mm.
good pullback. I think it was Faruja who
Ferrugia, yeah, he was brilliant.
he
For in that
seemed to be
first
the
half, he was outstanding. He turned Luke Turner inside out, to be honest with you, in that
he
half.
seemed to be the best player Rovers had.
Yeah, hundred
Going by the
percent.
highlights, and
Yeah,
a
he
great
was.
signing
Yeah.
for Johnny Kenny, who's coming into his own this year. Struggled a
Mm,
wee bit last year, but seems to be firing on all cylinders this year. I just think Shamrock Rovers they've won four in a row. It was really It was going to be really difficult for them to achieve five in a
mm,
row. It's never been done before. But I think they're a bit of an aging team where they've got Kenny up front, but he's
mm,
backed up by Gaffney and Green, who are both in their late 30s.
mm.
You go into midfield, they're trying to do a wee bit there and in defence, but I
Gary
think
Neal's a huge loss there, though.
yeah,
Huge loss.
he is, and I think Aaron McInnes been out for a while, or he's just back, isn't he, as well? So it's
Yeah.
going to take a while for him to get up to speed, and I think the biggest problems are their goalkeeper, to be honest with you.
Mm,
So it
mm.
is.
As for Pats, JP, massive win for them, and it was the performance, as I said as well. It was a very, very good performance. Definitely, hands down, their best performance of the season. I suppose they'd be looking for some form of an upturn now, and obviously pull away from the teams at the bottom of the league.
Yeah, like I'm not going to say Stevie Kenny was coming under pressure, but before that game it was 1 win and six.
Mm,
And he'd already lost. I think he'd lost three. So it was a really important one. I think, as you say, like it gets them away, especially with Dundalk one, and it gets them away from that end of the table. Um, keeps them away from that end of the table, and they remain only 4 points behind Shamrock Rovers in third place. So they'll definitely be looking up. And I think the only thing for Pats is they've got a win now, then it's a break. Where when you get
mm.
a win like that, you want to play again, and they have 2 weeks off, but
I still think
they'll
it's no harm. I think it's Kenny 2 weeks in the training ground again with them, like,
well, it doesn't really, because I think
Well,
players are away on holidays for a week, aren't they? So, but I
good
take your
point, yeah.
point.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll give them
Mm.
a weekend to prepare for the two. But after that,
You wouldn't
it's
know. You wouldn't know by looking at Instagram the players are on holidays, would you?
no. I think they've got Bows at home and Waterford, and then that eats them in their break game for Europe, because
Mm,
they don't play to the second round, so they've got Derry in the cup as well. So um they'll have 2 weeks on the training ground with Stephen Kenny before they come to play Derry, but which will possibly be a good thing for some Pats.
mm.
Um, maybe a wee bit worrying for Derry. But look,
Derry haven't worried much about Pats this season yet, so
no, it was it 3 1s? Yeah, but ones. But look, a massive one. It's 6 points from two games against Shamrock Rovers at Richmond Park this
Mm,
season, and
mm.
I think if
The last one they had was, I have to say, was very much a smash and grab, but this was just a better performance. Do you know what I mean? It was just
you,
a really much better performance. Like,
you expected that with Stephen Kenny eventually, that it would come to it would start to show on the pitch, well, it would
mm,
start to show in terms of results.
Mm.
was another matter because you don't know
And does
what
he
the
have the actual players to be able to do what he wants to do
yeah.
over time? We don't know really, but
And I think looking at the team that John Daly has assembled, it's possibly was it a case of he was maybe holding them back because
mm,
Stephen Kenny now come in, started to get his own stamp on them, and they seem to be with the same type of players, seem to be playing a
mm,
better brand of football,
mm.
which he expected under Stephen Kenny. Um, but Pats, as I say, like they're only 4 points behind Shamrock Rovers now. They'll be looking up rather than back, and they'll be targeting a good run in the cup and a good run in Europe.
Yeah. The RC finished Waterford FC nil, Shelbourne 1. Will Jarvis will win, earn 55, his 8th goal of the season. Grant Horton, I wouldn't say watch the replays too often of this one. Gets himself in a bit of a muddle, JP, unfortunately. Now, Jarvis, to be fair, keeps his cool. He's a bit to do when you're running in one on one the keeper. Lovely curled side foot finish past Sam Sargent and goal to give Shelbourne all 3 points. And massive win for Shelbourne. And obviously, with Derry winning, again, it was a massive win for them. They stay top of the league in 43. And to win that game, Waterford are a tough team to come up against at the moment. And you know, as I said, a huge win for them, but for Waterford there as well, it looked like they scored a goal. It looked onside that one. I know I spoke earlier about give the linesman the benefit of the doubt, etc. But watched it a few times from where the ball's played. It looks like Amond ghosts in from an onside position to me, doesn't he, and finishes the net. What did you think?
Well, I haven't seen the Padraig Hammond one. I haven't seen. I've seen the highlights, but it doesn't seem
Mm,
to be in the highlights, so I haven't seen it.
mm,
Uh, so I can't really comment on it, but I have heard about it from various
mm.
people. But look, it is what it is, and
It's
it's,
unlucky. I don't think it's difficult because the linesman might have just caught it late, and by the time he caught it late, he might have been looked like he was sorry, offside. But for me, he times it very well, Amond, and he does finish the net. That would have been 1-0 to Waterford, and
yeah.
the game it just changes then, doesn't it? Really?
In saying that, there was one near the end of the game, and Ben McCormick crossed the ball, and the
That's right.
defender flicked it on, and Amond hit the post, and the flag went up for offside, which I don't understand that because he's onside because
Mm,
defenders flicked it on. All right, doesn't end up in the back of the net, but that was really poor decision from the linesman in that case.
mm,
Um, but look, the Waterford will be disappointed because the goal comes, I think, from their corner. It's cleared out, and
mm,
Waterford had the ball on the edge of the Shelbourne box, and they
mm.
just keep passing it back, and then you know what Grant Horton's doing? He gets his feet mixed up, and then he
Just gets mixed up completely, doesn't he?
panics and he tries to kick it, and he misses it, and look, it just shows you the confidence of Will Jarvis at the minute, and
Yeah.
going through it, hitting the back of net like that, and I know Damon Duff touched upon it that he's here to the end of the season, but apparently there is interest from other clubs in England for him, and but Duff's confident that Hull don't want him to come back, but it could be a situation that maybe another club in England maybe want to buy him, and then the situation's taken out of Shelbourne's hands at that stage.
That's the issue, yeah. I know they're trying to get Harry Wood back, which would be massive for them as well.
Yeah.
But obviously, Gavin Malloy has left the club and went for a fee of around 75 grand. But Duff was actually talking about that. But look, I know people are saying about the clauses and that, but I'm sorry, I don't understand what clubs are supposed to do because if an agent, like it's either that, put in the clause, or Gavin Malloy doesn't sign the contract and he'll go to another League of Ireland club anyway
Yeah.
probably. You put in the clause. So there's not much. Our hands are tied there. Yeah, it's cheap. And,
It,
if you're a club abroad, you're going to take a chance on a player because you've nothing to lose, really, if you're spending 75 grand on the player. Where he's a loss, JP, I don't think it's as big as a loss as some people think. I tell you why. Because they've got Ledgewood in particular who can go in there and Griffin. I think the way they're set up and the style they play, I think they'll slot in. I actually think, and I said this before seeing Duff's interview, which was hilarious. I'll tell you about that in a minute. I think if Paddy Barrett got injured for the rest of the season, he'd be a far bigger loss because his range of passing, in particular, from a defender in the league, is better than anyone else, in my opinion. It's brilliant,
it
and
can
that would be a huge loss if he was to go. But Duff was saying he was talking about the Gavin Malloy thing, and he said, "Look, we still have Paddy
yeah.
Barrett," and he said if he didn't have 100 kids and wasn't 10 or 15 years younger, or was 10 or 15 years younger. It could be him off the Aberdeen, which I thought was
Yeah, I heard
hilarious as
that.
well.
I heard that along with Padraig Hammond has the best movement in the world. Like he
Yeah,
really box
yeah,
office. So and
brilliant.
it's
Yeah,
great to have him in the league. So it is.
absolutely. Like, yeah, come on. Like,
But I found it ironic that they ended up losing Gavin Malloy the contract clause because a couple of years ago we insisted that none of his Shelbourne players had clauses in their contract, and
mm,
I think he ended up having to admit that it was.
mm. Where do you
But look,
stand on that, by the way, the clauses and that? Like, what?
well,
It's not an
we
awful lot we
know
can do unless every club agrees to, but not every club's going to do that, are they?
we know Daniel Lambert wanted every club to be in
Mm.
um on the same wavelength a couple of years ago whenever he lost.
In fairness, I agree with him with that. I don't agree
Um,
with him with
he,
everything, but I do agree
he
with him there.
lost whenever he lost, was it the guy to Fleetwood? I think it was,
Oh
or
God, I can't remember which player it was. Yeah,
he lost him, and again that was a clause.
yeah,
I don't think I don't think there's clauses goes on the Derrys, because
yeah.
we know McJanet's going now, and Derry's been able to negotiate a fee.
Mm.
Obviously, it'll be a kind of maybe a watered down fee because he's out of contract. The end of the season was the same with Owen Toll a couple of years ago. He was out of contract, so they had to maybe get the best deal they could.
Mm.
Again, last year it was Ryan Graydon. There he got a good deal for that, even though he had still 18 months to go.
And then
I
there was a clause involved
think
for
if
Johnny
I think
Kenny.
if you're Derry, I think if you're Derry, Shamrock Rovers, you can maybe afford not to put a clause in
Mm.
because you can just go and find somebody else it's going to come in. The
Yeah,
likes of Shelbourne, Bowes, Waterford, Galway, they're probably going to have to allow these clauses. They get the players they want because, as you say, they're just going to go to another League of Ireland club who will agree to the clause. And look, we're all in competition. If Keith Long thinks that he can get a player over Stephen Kenny because he's going to put a clause under his contract, he's going to do it. As simple as that. And uh, look, I understand the clamour for clubs. They stop doing that, but
I
if
don't
you
think
think
it's impossible though. Yeah.
if you think you can get a player for a couple of years, put a contract in these clause. If that player gets you into European football and has clause, he gets you into European football, you're earning 150,000 euro. If he's got a clause for 75,000, you're
Mm.
getting that 150 plus the 75. So it's money well spent in the long run. Yeah, again, you want to see the league progress in terms of uh being able to attract big transfer fees. But right now, we haven't got a TV deal where it's going to allow us to maybe
Mm.
negate transfer clauses. So clubs have to try and protect themselves as well. And I'm not exactly saying that the clause is protecting the club. It's a detriment to the club, but if it's getting them a player over another team, then they're going to agree to it. And look, I don't know where I don't know where it'll stop or when it'll stop. I just can't see it happening anytime soon. But as I say, probably the only teams that don't have it is probably Derry and Shamrock Rovers. Um, and if
Mm.
they did, their clauses is
A
probably a
bit higher.
bit higher. Yeah.
Yeah.
So look, it'll be a massive loss to Shelbourne. I think. I think in the terms of where he will be missed, it's the consistency that he's had with Paddy Barrett.
Mm.
Somebody else going to have to come in there. Will it take a few weeks for them to gel? Probably not. But will they have the same impact over the first couple of games? Remains to be seen. I think the probably where you'll miss Gavin Malloy and Paddy Shelbourne will miss Gavin Malloy and Paddy Barrett's partnership is probably when they go into Europe, is where
Mm.
you want to go into there with a settled back four and people that know one another, especially when Shelbourne are going to be on seed and potentially going to get a really look. I hope they get a good draw, but the potential's there to get a bad draw as well, and that's where you want your most
Mm.
consistent defense or your most
I
consistent.
wonder if I'm honest with you though. I wonder if Shell's fans secretly wouldn't be too disappointed if they were knocked out in the first round in Europe,
Well,
where they are in the league. You know what I mean? I wouldn't.
yeah, I think Derry will probably be in the same boat.
Mm,
Derry got a good run last year, and it was nice to be
yeah.
they have got that. But I think if Derry look, I think for Derry's point of view is they probably have to maybe one round because they're seeded and they want to keep their coefficiency up. And to do that, you have to progress through a round. But for Shelbourne, they'll probably never get a better chance than this. They won the league, so Shelbourne fans will probably be secretly wanting to miss out on
Or
a
maybe not
sit.
secretly. Maybe you'll tell us in the comments.
But, yeah, yeah, but look, Shelbourne, look, there's talk that they could be signing Ali Cook, somebody else. I think you say Harry Wood.
Harry
So
Wood, yeah,
it
yeah, Harry
definitely
Wood.
could
They're trying to get him back as well. So he was good at the back end of last season, if you like, for them. But he wasn't loan at Grimsby and didn't make an impact, which was interesting.
they're definitely going all out now. They
Yeah,
maybe strengthen the squad. They maybe have a tilt at this league because they probably recognise themselves. That they'll probably not get a better chance. Um, Now we know Duff's coming out and saying Shamrock Rovers and Derry are still the favourites, but you just know Keith behind closed doors.
sure.
He's
If Pats win 3 games in a row, he'll be putting them in the conversation.
you just know behind closed doors he's drilling it into that Shelbourne team that they're the favourites and stuff like that. So
Hmm.
yeah, look, Shelbourne they keep getting 1-0 wins. And once you can do that, builds confidence. And look, they probably didn't want the break. They probably want to go again, similar to Derry.
Yeah.
Um, and again, they probably not want the break for Europe. They want to just keep playing domestically. Who'd they get in the cup, by the way?
Shelbourne Bray Wanderers, I think it was. I think it was
Right,
Bray
so
Wanderers, yeah. Might have been away. Top of my head now. I think it might be away, but I think it's
yeah,
Bray
they're away to
Wanderers.
Bray. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're away to
yeah.
Bray. So that's a nice draw for them. So it
It
is
should be okay for them.
coming off the
Should be.
back of the second leg in Europe too. So
Yeah.
could be a bit of a banana skin because of
Yeah,
that.
they can be after the second leg in Europe, to be fair. They can be a bit dodgy, especially when you're not used to being in Europe very often. So they can be dodgy. Yeah.
But we know they reached the final 2 years ago and unexpectedly, and you'll be wondering, do they want to go to Europe
Won
early? Do they want to go to the cup early?
won a cup run, yeah.
Do they
Yeah.
really want to put all their eggs in getting this league title? Who knows?
Yeah, before we go, JP, we'll mention the update on the prediction league because obviously there'll be no prediction video this week. You won 3-2 this week, so you're back ahead going into the break. 64
Yeah,
points to 63, one in it. You got Derry right, they won the
Dundalk,
game. You got Galway right as they won the game. There's 2 points.
Dundalk,
And you got Dundalk right. So there's 3 points for you. My 2 points came from Derry winning the game and Dundalk winning the game as well. So, yeah, we leave it there, guys. Let us know what you think in the comments. Plenty of discussion points there, the penalties, any kind of controversy, the offside goal, the Sligo disallowed goal, etc., etc. Subscribe to the channel, and once again, thanks for watching. Thanks, JP.
Thanks, Keith.